Okay, so this is the Vivo X60 Pro, and this phone was officially announced recently, and it comes with a lot of iterative upgrades over its predecessor, the Vivo X50 Pro, which we have reviewed last year actually. Now, let's just dive into it and see if this phone is any good and see what's improved. I think we'll start off with the star of the show, which is the camera of this phone right here. And its biggest highlight of the Vivo X60 Pro is, of course, the gimbal system on the main camera. The camera cutout on the Vivo X60 Pro actually looks fairly similar to the previous generation, but that's about it. Because they have forgone the periscope zoom camera, but they are now using Zeiss optics. And I have to be honest with you right here, right now, I have zero knowledge and expectations of what advantage Zeiss optics actually brings, because I have not tested any other phones or camera system with Zeiss optics. So yeah, I'm just entering this review like any other smartphone that I've tried with zero co-branding or whatnot. And that aside though, how well does the camera actually perform? That's quite a tough question to answer, because you see, it takes some okay pictures overall, but the phone can't decide what it wants to focus when it comes to taking a picture of this flower right here. And some of the picture of this flower that I took also got its exposures and colors a little bit haywire. It's quite inconsistent and I think it's rather annoying, but these kind of issues can be fixed via software updates. One thing that I need to highlight here is actually the night mode. Well, the Vivo X60 Pro's night mode is actually just kind of bad. I don't have a better way to say it, but this phone just makes everything bright when it's in night mode. And that's not the main point of night mode, because to me, night mode needs to brighten up the night scene, but still noticeably taken at night. You get what I mean? I think it's kind of difficult to explain. But if you take a look at these comparison shots right here, I took this exact scene with and without night mode, and personally, I do think that the picture looks a lot better with night mode turned off. And then comes the 2x telephoto camera, which is actually the same as the Vivo X50 Pro on paper. And I also realized the same inconsistency when it comes to colors and exposure as the main camera, so again, firmware update can fix that. As for the ultra-wide angle camera, it's actually not bad. The color overall looks okay, and the ultra-wide angle camera also has autofocus too. And now for the video side of things, the Vivo X60 Pro was boasted to once again have the micro gimbal system in the main camera, and this time it's version 2.0. So in this new version of the micro gimbal camera system, it has quite a lot of crop. And as you can see here, if you turn off the stabilization, we get the full view of the frame. Once we turn on the gimbal stabilization, it crops in quite a lot. And the gimbal mode right here also does not work with 4K 60 FPS. And there's also another super anti-shake mode, which crops down the field of view a little bit more. Presumably it's for AIS. Okay, so if you want to know how the micro gimbal system works, watch our in-depth review of the Vivo X50 Pro, where we talked about it a little bit more in depth about its interface, what it means, and also some of its issues for version 1. It's at the top right corner there, by the way. And once you watch that, come back here because we'll be making some comparisons with that. Go on, I'll wait. Oh, okay, you're back. So from what I can see here, the new gimbal system is actually not that much different from the Galaxy S21 Ultra's camera with OIS. I recorded both of these videos at 1080p 60fps walking around this playground set in circles, and they both look pretty much about the same to me, honestly. Now, turning on the super anti-shake mode makes it a little bit better, but of course it's cropped in a little bit more, but that's about it. Also, one of my major complaints about the Vivo X50 Pro's micro gimbal system was how it snaps in place when I just give it a pen whip kind of motion. On the Vivo X60 Pro, the snap is gone, but it is now replaced by a slight rotation effect. It's kind of not that noticeable, but it's definitely there. So is the stabilization system in the Vivo X60 Pro any good though? It's not that easy to judge because to me, it feels more or less the same as the Vivo X50 Pro and not much has changed since then. And of course, it's a neat idea, but there's still a lot of kinks to iron out. And as a quick rant here, the Vivo X60 Pro still uses a USB 2.0 port at the bottom, so transferring out all of those smooth motion video will definitely take quite a long time. And as for other aspects of the phone, the design is pretty much the same as the Vivo X50 Pro. Same colors, same kind of shimmery iridescent finish with a matte layer on top, and it's still a really thin phone too. Now as for the display, it is still using the same 1080p resolution, but it has been upgraded to 120Hz refresh rate. To me, the display looks as good as ever, and 1080p is definitely enough for a phone of this size. And now for the battery life. The Vivo X60 Pro comes with a 4200 mAh battery, and throughout my tests, I found out that the Vivo X60 Pro is on the brink of not being able to survive throughout the day at 120Hz refresh rate. But Vivo also included a charger inside this box here, and it is a 33-watt charger, and we are able to juice up the phone from 15 to 100% in about an hour's time. But one thing that I really need to highlight here is actually the software. The Vivo X60 Pro is currently running on FunTouch OS 11.1 on top of Android 11. The overall user experience feels pretty close to stock Android, but unfortunately there are a lot of bloatwares pre-installed into this phone. And very quickly, just to brief through the performance side of things, this phone comes with Snapdragon 870 chipset, and this phone isn't particularly advertised as a gaming smartphone, but it can still play games without any issues, so if you want to check that out, watch the video at the top right corner there. And as another quick highlight, this phone is also using 3 gigs of RAM disk. If you head into the About Phone menu in the settings, then you can see that the RAM section there is actually written 12 plus 3 gigs of RAM. That 3 gig is actually the internal storage being treated as RAM, hence the word RAM disk. And so finally, the price. At 3,299 ringgit, the Vivo X60 Pro does seem to be pricey for the time being. To me, the Vivo X60 Pro needs to be improved and refined, especially on the camera side of things. And I'm sure both the photography and videography part can be tweaked with firmware updates down the line. Yeah, that's it. That's all we have to share with you about the Vivo X60 Pro. Do you think the gimbal system is actually any good, or do you just want to get a traditional smartphone gimbal like DJI or Zhiyun and use those instead? Yeah, let me know down in the comment section below, and if you have any questions, we will answer them there as well, and we'll see you guys in the next video.